Unfortunately, you will probably not be able to grow miniature orchids in your house unless you have had success with larger types of orchid. I'm not trying to be mean or gatekeep, but I am trying to set you up with a little reality check because these are not easy. These come from very high elevations in cool cloud forests, so these get a lot of humidity and very cold air, which is not something our homes normally get. There are some like this Limorchis that might do okay in lower humidity and in a normal household windowsill, but there are a whole lot more that will do very poorly, like this Masdevallia. My first tip when looking for miniature orchids is stay away from cool or cold growing miniatures. Try and stay to intermediate to warm. And stay away from these leafy pleurothalids. All of them you will want to avoid. They want a lot of humidity. But more succulent looking orchids like this bulbophyllum might be a great option. You see how it has those big bulbs and bigger, thicker leaves. That means it can hold on to more nutrients, so if it's not getting ideal conditions, it can use its own energy to survive. Dendrobium tend to be a great option, as well as miniature Cattleya, Sarcochilus, Angraecum even can be a wonderful option. But make sure you know if your orchid wants to stay wet or it wants to dry out. A lot of these will want to completely dry out between watering, so mounting is perfect. But some of them will want to stay a little bit more on the wet side, so we have to make sure we know which one we have and how to accommodate it, especially in lower humidity because these rot quite easily. Now as for where to find it, this is a hard one because I've gotten my orchids from literally hundreds of places. But if you get it from an orchid nursery, you will probably have the best luck possible. If it's a general plant store, they might not know how to pot it, might not know how to care for it, so you could be set up for failure from the start, and it might not be your fault if it dies. But an orchid nursery generally will have a better idea of what the plant is and how to care for it and how it survives in the wild. You will also have to do a whole lot of research about your plant because orchids come from every continent except Antarctica, so there's a whole lot of different conditions they want. But some places I can recommend because I've personally shopped there is Waldor Orchids, Andes Orchids, Orchids by Hauserman, J&L Orchids, Littlebrook Orchids, and many more nurseries. I am also a part of my local orchid society, so I get a lot of free plants that way and a lot of education on how to care for these beautiful little plants. If you haven't already, you should probably look into an orchid society around you because there's a lot of information and I'm sure there's one pretty close. So unfortunately, I do have to recommend miniature orchids are not for the beginners or for the weak. These want a lot of water, but they rot extremely easily. These want good light, but they burn very easily. These want cool weather, but also really high humidity. So unless you plan on making this your hobby and doing a whole lot of research, I'd probably stay away from them. There are plenty of wonderful orchids to start with that will do a lot better.